there from the time he was about 14 years old.
Well, do you remember when we were in grade school and we had to go to church every morning? And
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, and all the kids, we always ate our breakfast when we got back from church, and we used to stand in mile-long lines, all the kids buying donuts or whatever they wanted
Oh,
for
that bakery around
the
the corner.
bakery on Gravois. And
I
yeah,
remember the peanut cakes. I remember that.
yes. And some of the boys, all they did was buy a loaf of bread, and they would eat the bread instead of getting donuts or something.
I was fascinated by the bread machine. There was a machine. They put about 10 loaves of bread, big wide thing, and it kind of looked like a piano inside.
Yeah.
Go jigger, jigger, jigger. We cut all of those loaves, slice them all,
Yes.
and slide them up into the bag.
Oh my gosh, we went there every morning and bought donuts and stuff for eating, after mass. So they don't do that kind of stuff anymore. But
yeah, it was a lunatic asylum. Get a bunch of kids, sit them in a classroom, feed them a bunch of sugary food, get them to sit still. Brilliant.
Well, they didn't know that back then.
They didn't know much.
I think we came out okay though.
I often wonder what qualifications those nuns has to teach, because when I got to Bayless, I was way behind the curve. I had no idea what was going on. All the other kids were 6th, 7th, 8th grade. They were taking algebra, physics with Mr. Busby. We were doing 4th grade arithmetic for 4 years.
Oh my. I started to tell you that I got mad at the nun because she saw me in the movie, or somebody saw me in a movie. Anyway, but I only stayed at Bayless for like 2 weeks because I couldn't stand it. They had no discipline at Bayless at that time, and I was used to the nuns at St. George and the all that. Even though I was mad because they found out things that I didn't want them to know, but I ended up going back to St. George then for my sixth.
I think I know what you're trying to say, Jackie. You're trying to say that Bayless High was a party school. Am I right?
Well, I was only in junior high then, though,
But you're saying it was wild?
Yes, it was more
crazy.
Wild.
It was a party school.
And see, I was so disciplined in grade school with all the nuns, and my mom was always up there helping them and doing stuff. So, I mean, I grew up very religious.
Yeah, you were this really straight girl who's used to discipline, and then you found yourself at a party school where the kids were wild, they were partying, they were acting crazy, they were running around in their hot rods, and
they were.
It was a shock. It was a shock to you.
It was a shock.
I didn't see that at all.
But the thing is, I never did smoke or drink or do anything bad when I was there.
You were the good girl. You were the good girl, and here you were with all these wild women and guys.
Hey, who was the guy that had the Austin Healey?
That was Merle Bush.
Merle Bush, yeah.
When he let Pat and me drive it.
Did he?
We got to drive it.
Yeah.
And we would take off in that Austin Healey 3000 on the weekends, and we had this book by Harlan Bretz. It was called Caves of Missouri. And on the weekends, we'd pick a cave and we'd just go to it, and we'd go through the cave. And sometimes Helen Huth went with us also, right? Right, Pat? Am I saying that right?
I'm sure go there,
yeah.
Am I depicting that correctly?
Oh my God!
Yeah, pretty much. We go caving.
We went caving.
Yeah.
Spelunking was a fancy
and I got to drive that thing, and I learned how to drift around corners. Merle said, you got to learn how to drift around corners.
I had my own Austin Healey Sprite.
I had an Austin Healey Sprite.
1960 Bug-Eye.
I had the same thing. I had the same car.
It was red, convertible.
Mine was white. I had a white Austin Healey.
I flipped it a couple of times and was caught underneath it on the highway.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I
How do you
mean,
manage that? I wonder.
Wait a
That
minute.
was-
This doesn't fit in with your narrative now. First you were this really good girl. You were really straight. Now you're flipping over in your Austin Healy. What happened? I think it was all these wild
It was
Bayless
either-
girls got to you is what happened.
no, I was already married then. But the idea is that
When did
there
you
was-
get married? How old
there
were
was
you?
a tractor trailer coming at me, a big 18-wheeler. And I was on a 2-lane highway over in Champaign, Illinois.
I
And
went to school in Champaign.
did you go there?
Yeah, I went there.
And a big gust of wind came, and you know, those cars are really lightweight, and it pushed me to the side. And I could have either stayed on the road and ran into this tractor trailer, or flip over on the ditch. And I flipped over 2.5 times, and oh my God, it was awful. But I mean, I lived to tell the story.
What year did you get the Austin Healy bug-eye?
It was the early 60s. Later 60s, like 60.
Oh, it wasn't in high school. You didn't have it in high school.
No.
See, I had an Austin Healy.
But I also had a TR4 then after that.
I had an Austin Healy bug-eye in high school.
Oh, cool.
I had one in 1962. I had a bug-eyed Sprite.
Wow, I don't remember that.
You should have remembered that.
You should have came by my house.
I should have. You missed out.
I did.
You could have accelerated that by 5 years.
But I mean, there's very few girls my age that can say that they drove, 4-speed or 5-speed cars back then.
Yeah, I had the Austin. I wanted the.
Okay, somebody's coming.
Somebody's up.
I wanted to get the
There she
Austin
is.
Healy, but I had there's Nancy.
Little late.
We just found out something about Jackie that you might not know.
No,
That- That
No,
she, when she came to to Bayless High, she was a good girl, a really good girl. She had gone to a Catholic school, and
Nancy,
and,
same
you-
school
and
I
she
did.
was she was
Nancy, you went to
disciplined.
St. George for a while, didn't you?
From kindergarten through 5th
Yeah,
grade.
she was disciplined. She was disciplined. She was a good girl, well behaved. And then she got to Bayless, and guess what? She found out that it was a party school. The girls were running wild, and she landed at Bayless High. It was total shock to her,
He's
and
adding
it
to the
corrupted
story.
her ever since.
He's adding
She's
to
never been the same.
And had fun. I don't know why she went back. Yeah, she could.
back to St. George until 8th grade. But I forgot that Patrick went, Pat went to St. George too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
found
Man,
out-
I'm totally outnumbered here. 3
Have-
people
have you
from
gone-
St. George.
Has either one of you gone to the St. George reunions at all?
I have not.
Because you weren't there okay.
And some of the kids have passed on, unfortunately, but no, I've not gone back to any of the
Yeah.
class
Are,
reunions.
are you friends that you talk to anybody from there?
I'm trying to think of who was trying to get me to go back. My cousin Karen McKean was there. She's dead.
Oh, Karen McKean was one of my best friends for a while. What happened? She was your cousin?
Yeah, she's my first cousin.
I didn't know that. How did she die?
She had scleroderma. And that's where your skin gets harder and harder, and your organs do too, and you just turn into kind of like leather and die.
Oh, my poor thing.
Yeah.
Her dad was talented. She was learning how to play the steel guitar too. I remember because she lived down the street from me and we were friends.
Yep. She was a delightful child. She had no sisters, so she and I were just about 2 months apart.
No.
But they would never let us be in the same classroom at school because we were cousins.
Oh my gosh.
That's the way it was in those old days. I hit something.
Yeah.
What I do? All right. I hit something. Woohoo. All right, get back.
I bet you never knew that about Jackie.
Nope.
That she had such a shock to her system
Yeah, she
after
tells us
being
that.
such a good girl. She was such
I
a
don't
good
believe-
girl before she got to Bayless High.
You want to see me play the violin?
How about this one? It's the smallest record player in the world playing my
Yes.
heart for you.
Tiny violin. Yeah, tiny violin.
Well, Nancy, I missed you because I've been on here for about 2 hours already.
Oh, well, I was here.
And I'm- And
She was here.
I know, and I'm about ready to hang up, and they told me, no, I can't because you're going to be coming on. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm talked out.
Nobody else came in. I tried Kathy C. Miller,
No,
Sandy Prince, Kay Wagner, Carol Interview, and I didn't get to talk to any of them, but I left a phone message on Kathy C. Miller's, and each one of the other ones I left messages.
yeah, you left a me one too.
I called about 20 people. I called Bill Groth. Bill Groth answered the phone, and he said he'd try to make it. And he said he wasn't sure if he knew how. And I said, what about Linda Crisco? Is that her name? Linda Crisco, his wife. I said, she'll get you on there. So he said he'd try to get her to get him on there. And he told me that I did find out that Bill is a big time celebrity schmoozer at the Cardinals games in St. Louis. So when you buy a box, one of these exclusive boxes, he will escort you to your box. He'll bring you champagne. He will wine and dine you. He's like a big celebrity schmoozer now at St. Louis Cardinals games. Did you know that about him?
Who
Yep,
is it?
that's what he does. That's what
Bill
he
Groth.
does.
Oh,
Bill
Bill.
Groth.
Okay.
Bill Groth. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Well, my
Yeah.
brother is at the pageant. He's been doing that at nighttime for years. And I have a nephew too that's out, does a lot of work out at the, what's that one that's at it's like, you sit outside and they have these concerts and all that. I can't think of it right now, but
Francis Park.
no, up by, I don't know, it's up by Earth City or someplace, I think, but
Anyway,
It's the
who
other
still
side of the
owns,
world.
who owns the Cardinals these days?
I have no idea.
Bill
I'm
Bush,
so out of
still
touch with the
Anheuser-Busch?
Cardinals.
um,
I don't know if it's Augie Bush anymore. I don't even know if Augie
Augie's
Bush is still alive.
I don't think
Well-
Augie's still alive, but the Bush Corporation.
Yeah, I mean
Well-
the Bushes. Yeah,
my
August
daughter
4th.
works. My daughter works part-time at Grant's Farm now, and it's gone through a lot of different things, different people,
Yeah.
and now it's back with some of the Bushes again. But they are taking tours now at Grant's Farm. They never did before. You can actually go up to the mansion where you never were able to see even where it was, and more tours of the stables and a lot of other stuff too. So.
Not much more. I've been there. It's not.
Have
that
you
much
been
more.
there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's all extra money. You have to pay extra for all these extra
It
things.
used to
lot.
be free. When I
Yeah.
was in St. Louis for a while, it was free.
The
You just-
actual
Well, it's
tour-
free to get in, but not for the extra tours, not for those
What-
extra tours.
Right. The house
You
is
still
like,
pay to park.
yeah, the house is like $200 if you want to go inside of it, because the tourists go by the outside of it.
Oh, they don't even let you go inside, my daughter said.
You can get in, but it's special tours and it's like $200.
Really?
Yeah, you pay through the nose. They don't need ordinary people. They got enough muggity mugs.
Yeah.
But my kids all worked, well, 3 of them worked up there and they were in the house all the time. So they know all that stuff.
Yeah.
They say it's okay, but it's kind of big and it's after the turn of the century. So it's not very pretty. I don't think it's like a big German baronial castle.
Yeah.
So
what's your ancestry?
which one?
You Zoom user. You Zoom user. Your name is Zoom user.
Oh, that's not me.
It is. I'm going to change it right now. I'm going to change your name.
We've all done the wrong thing.
Zoom user.
I'm going to change your name. I'm going to make you a co-host, and I'm going to change your name because your name says Zoom user. It's just a Zoom thing. But what's your ancestry, Nancy?
My grandfather came from Switzerland when he was 4, and the Brundicks came to America in 1853. So I'm 3rd generation American. So German and Swiss.
And Ulrich is spelled U-L-R. Is it 1 L or 2?
1 Ulrich.
Yeah, that's what I
German.
thought. Yeah.
Ulrich.
Yeah, now I got you. Now I got you right. I'm going to fix Pat too. I'm going to fix his name.
I got a funny story about St. George. My great grandfather, Johannes Lupins, went to school in St. Joris Parish in Antwerp. It's St. George.
Oh, it is George?
It's
I
St.
didn't know
George
that
in,
was. I thought that was a different name. Joris. I've heard of it before, but I didn't.
St. Joris is Belgian for St. George.
Ah,
I thought it was kind of fun coincidence.
Is it still spelled with a G though?
J.
Joris?
No, it's
Or is it a J?
Sinjoris.
Yeah,
St.
okay.
George. Yeah, I have a picture. There's a website with my name on it that has a picture of him. He came over. Let's see, he didn't come over. He was there in 1840. There's a picture of him.
hmm.
There's a bunch of Lupins over there. That one Carolyn Lupins runs a big bank over there or something. Yeah.
Hey.
There's
Come
a bunch
visit
of
your
them still over there.
So Nancy, are you doing any more enactments of historical events?
Since my special needs grandchild was born, I have not been able to go out in the field with Civil War. I did all the uniforms for the Lewis and Clark men, and they did it all the way to the coast and back, 200 years to the day of the Lewis and Clark expedition. In 2000, we started in 2001 making uniforms. They left in 2003 and came back in 2005. And my husband Ulrich was part of that. And of course, I'm with Afton Historical Society with the Benoit Mansion. So I wear all my clothes and do first person there yet.
Oh, cool. Great.
It's 1853, yeah. And some of my clothes shrank and they won't fit on me anymore. So they go on mannequins at the house.
Now, does St. Louis have some kind of historical museum of some kind?
We have many museums here in St. Louis, and there is a Confederation of the Historic St. Louis is what the name of it is. And it's there's about 22 homes that are part of that. Daniel Boone at Defiance and Campbell House and Eugene Field House, Oakland House, the Magic Chef Mansion. There's several up north. The Bissell's, there are several Bissell homes. Yeah, St. Louis has got a lot of history.
Now, do you live in a historical home yourself?
Nope, it's a 1941 Cape Cod. You can see I got historical furniture all around.
Nancy, I think there's a book you might be interested in. It's called The Crisis, and it was written by Winston Churchill, not that Winston Churchill, but the St. Louis Winston Churchill. And it's about the lead up to the Civil War, and it's kind of historical fiction, but it takes you all the places like Grant's Farm when it was actually Grant's Farm, and it has all the characters. It's really a pretty interesting book. I came across it. It was Susan's uncle's book in his library. I have like the copy that was printed in 1900. It's kind of falling apart. You might be able to find it online or find it on, let me think. On
Is there any other
Calibre.
initial, other than on the Winston Churchill? Is there another initial or anything in there?
No,
Deviate from?
it's no, it just says Winston Churchill on the book.
Huh.
But it's a Winston Churchill that grew up in St. Louis. He lived in St. Louis. And he apparently interviewed a lot of people. It was written in 1900, so he evidently interviewed a lot of people who had lived through the time leading up to the Civil War and then towards the end of the Civil War. It was
I think there's probably nothing more interesting than the history of the Civil War in the United States. There's so much in it. And
yeah.
I've read Ulysses S. Grant's memoirs, and he was a dry writer, but what a man. Good Lord, what he had been through and what they're still studying or they were still studying Grant's tactics in Vietnam. His
Now,
battlefield-
did you watch the Ken Burns series on the Civil War?
Hey, yeah, we put our clothes on. We went out to Webster University and saw that in,
Really?
yeah.
How many episodes was that, the Civil War? Was it just one movie or was it a bunch of episodes?
No, there were several episodes. It was one movie, but it was in like 2 installments. We went 2 nights. And then Ken was there and he answered all the questions and talked about the theme song, Ashokan Farewell. Wasn't really written for the Civil War or wasn't around at that time. It was a haunting melody that they used, but he was extremely accurate about the idiosyncrasies and the special things that happened during the Civil War. And there's so much, you know, it covers customs and people and nationalities and buildings and movement of troops, medicine, just so many things.
So
Tradition.
you give him a good grade. You give him a good grade for that movie.
Where's Cody
Oh,
Bryant?
yeah.
He did a good job. Accurate.
He did a very, very good job. It was quite accurate. We were thrilled with it. We liked Gone with the Wind, but there was a little bit of Hollywood in there.
What's your favorite old movie from that time, from the early 60s? Or you can name several if you want, but what's your favorite or favorites in movies that you like from that era?
Oh, golly.
I'll go with you first, Nancy, then I'll go to Jackie.
Oh, golly, you gotta let me think here.
Oh,
All right, I'll go to
gosh,
Jackie
yeah.
and we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Jackie.
Thanks. From the 60s?
From the 60s, yeah, the old Technicolor movies, you know, John Wayne, Cary
Oh,
Grant, you
That
know,
was
all those.
earlier than the 60s.
Well, the ones that I like, the big ones like 10 Commandments and some of those that were at the theater that were just fabulous.
Exodus.
Uh,
Exodus was excellent.
Yeah, some of the
Sorba the Greek.
sort
What
of the-
about what year was East of Eden? What was it? What year was that movie with James Dean?
That was before us, actually, or it was
that
like
before us?
57 or something like that.
67?
50.
57. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we can go back that far. Let's go back.
I remember seeing
Farther.
Ben-Hur too. That was like 62 or something.
There's 10 Commandments, if that's your.
10 Commandments too, yeah.
That was a little Hollywood, though, a little, I think.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into that as much. That's why I picked Exodus over it. Exodus was, it had so much
Have
history.
any of you gotten online to watch The Chosen?
No.
Oh gosh.
No.
That's been really good.
We're gonna extend that to the 50s and the 60s now. So what's your favorite movie from when you were growing up, from when you were 1 year old to when you were a senior in high school? What was your favorite
Well,
movie?
There's a whole bunch. Gee.
All those scary Godzilla ones were so funny.
Nah.
Rock Around the Clock.
Bill Haley and the Comets. Yes.
Yeah.
I walked over to the Crest with 35 cents in my pocket.
See, I told you about that. The Crest show.
That's
At
the
the
second reference to the Crest tonight.
Yeah, he didn't know what the Crest was.
Oh, and they had a stage in front of it, and they had the music. You went up and danced, rock and roll, and that kind of stuff before the music started, and afterwards.
What about TV shows? What was your favorite TV show
Oh,
growing up?
Gosh.
From the age of 1 till high
Victory
school.
at Sea.
We didn't have a TV till I was in 6th grade.
Oh gosh.
You know what?
The-
My mother
I still in.
loved Jack Parr. She loved Jack
Oh.
Parr.
A lot of people did, but
She loved
Eh.
him.
yeah.
I'm thinking
I
of.
always- I've always been with the history. My
I
dad-
watched Howdy Doody all the time.
I watched Howdy Doody. That's
Yeah.
that's like the show you got to see when you get out of school.
I love that.
Yeah, that was
Oh.
too silly.
Pat's draws a blank. He doesn't watch TV. He probably never watched TV.
Oh, when I was a kid, it was Victory at Sea.
Victory at
Very
Sea.
good. I was going to say Run Silent, Run Deep, and Victory at Sea. My dad and I used to sit up and watch that.
Victory
Yes.
at
Well,
Sea.
some people really got into just listening to those things on radio before they even, like, what is that one guy that did all those radio shows? Because Herb Jansen used to talk about that all the time.
Green Hornet?
We all watched Dragnet
No, what is
because my
that?
cousin Gene.
Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the Twilight
Twilight
Zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or Dragnet.
We had one of those big giant space heater Philco radios, 27 knobs. 2 of them worked on off volume and station selector. And sit in front of that thing and we'd listen to the old Jack Benny shows and
Jack
Green
Bunny.
Hornet. Let's see, a bunch of those old radio shows. I just love those things.
Yeah. A lot of
I'm still
people
a
just
radio
had-
person. I listen to radio all the time.
What was
What was your favorite music in high school? What
Oh.
music did you like?
rock and roll.
What rock and roll? What
Elvis Presley.
Elvis? You were Elvis? Yeah.
I didn't care for the Beatles. I mean, they were okay, but I wasn't into the Beatles.
I was big time into the Beatles. I love the Beatles. I still do. I still love Paul McCartney. I love Paul McCartney. The Walrus was Paul.
Mm.
How cool
They
is
look
that?
fake men?
I
Those aren't
wonder
real
why.
men.
They were a bit corny. I think McCartney and Wings was actually a lot better than the Beatles.
Wings was good. They were good.
Yeah, I like them. It was much easier music there.
What
Beatles-
about Fleetwood
I-
Mac? Were you guys into Fleetwood Mac?
Oh yeah, Fleetwood Mac. I still like Fleetwood Mac.
How about Heart? Were you guys into Heart?
No.
Don't
No.
know that. There was a guy who went to Bayless School, had a #1 hit, singing the blues. Do you remember who that was?
I never felt like singing the blues.
Because I knew if I couldn't lose your love, dear.
Who was that? Who was that?
Guy Mitchell.
Scott Mitchell went to Bayless
Guy.
High.
Guy Mitchell.
Guy Mitchell.
Guy Mitchell. Okay.
Guy Mitchell,
Oh.
singing the blues.
Huh.
Mhm. His one-hit wonder.
Yeah, well, Mary Huggs' brother, God, what's his name?
Norm.
Norm.
Norman.
Yeah.
Norm Hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the high school days, he was part of a band, and we used to go over to Mary's house all the time down the basement because Norm and his band were always practicing. And
How come you never invited me? How come I never heard about this?
oh, it was so much fun.
Why? I can't believe you didn't tell me about this.
No.
What was
God.
Jerry Cook in that crowd? No, Jerry Cook was ahead of Norm, wasn't he?
Well,
Jerry
there
Cook.
was a guy named Jerry. Jerry Reagan played with him. I think his name was.
No, Jerry Cook. He was in class of 60.
Oh, he didn't go to Bayless. No,
Oh,
these
bad.
guys that were with him, I don't think went. No, I think he was from Roosevelt because Mary originally, her and Norm used to live in the city before they moved to the county, and they went to Roosevelt.
Mm.
So is Mary still alive?
No, she died.
She died. Okay.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
She only married once, but she married a man that was a lot older than her, and I think he died first. And she had one son. I don't know where he is.
Wow.
And she moved to Florida someplace and lived there for years. So I don't know.
I always felt socially awkward in high school. It was such an awkward time,
Yeah.
It's a shame. I kind of was aware of that. We didn't know what to do about it.
Yeah, we really tried to pull you in, but you kept pulling away.
I don't know. I didn't do it that much at Bayless. I had other things, so I wasn't there all the time doing stuff. I know there was a real inside.
No,
crowd.
Nancy worked, and so did I. I worked at the dime store, and she worked downtown somewhere.
Yeah, Edison Brothers Shoes.
Yeah.
And then I had another group that we used to square dance when I was a real young, 13, I think, up through probably 18 at Tower Grove Park.
Oh,
we did
yeah.
Demonstration square. So that was another group of people.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then you
I
dated guys.
started with the CYC at St. George had, they had a dance for the 8th graders, and then it kind of went into the all the teen towns. I mean, I just wish the kids had Teen Town now, because it would give them something to do, and you can meet with your friends and not be in trouble all the time. And I mean, it's just.
And we did roller skating.
Oh,
before.
I love skating.
Did
Yeah,
you go with us on Saturday morning?
We used to go someplace over off of Broadway, I think. Is that where you
There,
went?
there was one. No, we didn't go on Broadway because my dad wouldn't let us go down on Broadway. It was like,
Yeah.
no Broadway. We went to the
Was it
the
on Gravois?
arena. There was the arena. It
Oh,
was-
the
used to-
arena.
Yeah, that was a very big, beautiful roller skating rink. And they had a neat organ, and you could roller skate dance.
Yeah.
I think Terry Hanley, I think, went to that. And it seems to me maybe Jack, but I don't know. I'm trying to
And I
think of
used to like to bowl. I mean, I bowled at what was the place down on the Gravois in Hampton?
wasn't it called the Cardinal? Gravois
Isn't
and Pair?
Was there for years.
What sports were you all in?
I wasn't in sports.
You were not in sports.
No.
Me neither.
You weren't in
What-
sports. I was in sports, but I was kind of on the margins of the basketball team. I made the team,
I remember that.
and I thought, well, I'm going to really excel in basketball, right? So I signed up, and for the summer, all summer long, I went to the St. Louis Hawks basketball camp, right?
Wow.
And I thought, man, I'm going to be so hot on the basketball team. I'm just going to kill it, right? Because it was Bob Pettit and Clyde Lovellette and all these stars, that had won a national championship. And here I was, they were teaching me how to shoot a jump shot, and teaching me. Clyde Lovellette was showing me how to do a hook shot. But what I didn't realize is that, like, Terry Hanley and Jack Newsom and Bill Groth and Rick Freilich and one other guy, I forget his name, had played together incessantly all the time since they were little kids, So they had this team ethic that I never could break into that little clique, not clique, but a team, that team, And
Jim Carter.
I tried though. I thought, man, I'm going to nail this. I'm going to come and be a superstar. It never happened, but I did do well in track because I could run really fast. So I had a great quarter mile. I had a very average half mile and a very poor mile, and I did okay in the 100. And so that was my thing, was the track team. I was able to break out a little bit in the track team, but basketball was so frustrating for me that those guys had it all locked in, and their dads were on the school board. And I just never could break into that.
Well, they were in
team, you know.
softball too.
Plus they had a terrible coach. They had Mr. Anders as a
Anders.
coach, horrible coach. The guy was a loser, big time. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of my frustration with high school sports.
Sports was too hard.
No, we had enough sports in gym class. I happened to play like field hockey. I never liked that.
Oh, I love field hockey. First thing in the morning.
Now I love volleyball. I do love volleyball. I did play that. And
I was good at volleyball. I was really good at volleyball.
Actually, Sandy and I and a bunch of girls used to play after, not when we were in school, afterwards. We used to go over to, I think it was Mary Magdalene or someplace, and we used to meet and play and said we're going to play volleyball because we're going to try to lose some weight. And then after we were done exercising and doing all that, we'd go over to the donut shop and sit and have coffee and donuts. And it was the defeatist. But anyway, we had fun.
I think if I had been smart, I would have worked out with weights a lot in high school. And then I think then I could have broken out in basketball, if I'd lifted weights.
Yeah, but those guys didn't lift weights, did they? I don't think so.
No. They just played every day, all day long. In the summer,
Yeah.
they did baseball rather. They did baseball, then went right into basketball.
Yeah.
And it's true, you didn't stand a chance. They were so used to each other.
Oh yeah, those guys were like,
Yeah.
those guys knew each other's moves like nothing, like unbelievable. They were good. Freilich had an incredible shot from outside. Newsom was an all-around athlete. Groth was a slow developing center
Poor
that
guy.
eventually broke out pretty good. And Ted Murray was the same way. He was a big kind of awkward guy that got really good as he progressed, And then
He
I
had-
remember Dickie Weber. Remember Dickie Weber?
Was he in our class?
Well, his sister was in our class. Sharon Weber. Remember
Sharon.
Sharon Weber?
Oh, okay. I didn't remember Dickie. Yeah, the really tall
I think
kid.
that was his name. Anyway, that guy was like nailed it from outside. He had the most beautiful outside jump shot. If the 3-point play had been in effect back then, he would have gone to college with a scholarship. That guy had a perfect
Well, he was
shot.
Spring
Perfect.
beat, for God's sakes. He was probably close to 6 foot in high school.
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
tall.
incredible.
The tallest guy I ever went out with in high school was John Janesco, Sandy Janesco's brother.
Oh yeah, see,
And we had, I think it was freshman year, there was a hello dance or something. I don't know, to kind of meet each other or something. I don't know if I asked him or if he asked me, but we ended up going to the dance together. And I mean, here I was this little and he was that big,
you came up to his belt buckle.
I think so. I mean, he was very nice, but I never ended up going out with him or anything.
Remember the sock hops? We had
Sock
sock hops.
Oh,
the
sure. Yeah.
cafeteria.
Yeah, Sandy Janesco was really tall. Whatever happened to her?
I don't know.
I don't know.
really don't.
Who married George Rapley?
Oh, somebody from school there.
Yeah.
Was it Sandy Janesco?
I was going to say, I think it is Sandy Janesco, if I'm not
Oh, it
mistaken.
might be. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, I think it was.
Guys, I'm going to have to hit the road.
Kicked your brain.
Yep, I'm going to have to hit the road.
Yeah, I think the road's going to hit me.
You
I'm
mean there's
getting-
no except us four on here?
Yeah, and I've been here since 5 o'clock. I don't know.
We wouldn't let her leave. We wouldn't let her leave. We put her to
And
the
you know what
torture test.
I'm watching is the Bachelorette, or the two bachelorettes that are running together for this stupid show on TV, and they're fighting over the same guys that they